Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It is finally spring here on the farm, and I had the chance to grab my camera and walk around because this is the time of year after I take my allergy pill that I love to get outside in the sunshine and take my sketchbook and find a spot to sit and sketch and just enjoy the sunshine. So I grabbed my camera. These are my doggies, Winston and Harley. This is a rose bush that is going to bloom in about a month. That is amazing. I planted that about 5 years ago. That's our milk house and the barn. And down here, the most exciting part of today is that Juliet had her babies, and she had four of them this year. She and Romeo and Juliet, we named them about 4 years ago. We've been here five. Started coming to have babies at the farm. And I looked it up online, and they will live 12 years is a Canada goose lifespan. And so I was curious if these were the same geese that would come back year after year. They're pretty nice to me. They let me go get the mail. They got a little aggressive a few days ago flying across the pond when I went to get the mail right before the babies hatched. But here are the babies, and here are Romeo and Juliet. And I guess it can be a nuisance if a whole bunch of them come, but so far, knock on wood, these are the only two that come back year after year to this spot. So this is my front yard, and I want to sketch my pond and kind of memorialize this day that the babies were born. So I've got my etcher sketchbook and a mechanical pencil, and I'm going to speed this up a little because it was a full hour and 30 no, hour and 7 minutes of sitting and sketching and painting. And while I enjoy that, I don't know that right now there's any value to me showing it any slower. So I love urban sketching. I don't know if any of you all do it. I'd love to hear if you do. I'd love to hear the spots you go to. I'm actually planning on, because I live in Bucks County and there's an awful lot of historical places around here, where Washington crossed the Delaware, and which is Washington's Crossing, and New Hope and Lambertville and Doylestown, and lots of really great history. And Philadelphia is a half hour away. And so when we moved here from Northern California, I fell in love with these stone houses, stone structures. As you know, in Earthquakeville, tend to have a lot of old stone houses laying around, and the new things that they build. There's a lot of stucco, which has its own beauty, which I love very much. But I was fascinated with the old stone buildings that are prevalent here. And so we have a little spring-fed pond. That's the spring house that feeds water into the pond. And the last couple of years, it's been pretty low because we haven't had a ton of rain, but it has really refilled recently. And so once a year, for the last couple of years, I'll sit down, usually this time of year, and sit out front and sketch. And I just think the benefits of sketching for mental health are enormous because I feel complete relaxation almost complete, unless I get frustrated. But urban sketching is kind of, or any kind of sketchbook work in general for me is less stressful because I'm not feeling, I think the finished product is just that I feel better after I'm done sketching. Not even that I have a painting that I'm in love with, but just the actual act of sketching. So I will always sit, or almost always sit, and sketch it out beforehand and try to get a pretty decent sketch to follow so that when I start painting, I'm not worrying so much about anything other than just applying my color. And it's beautiful today. It's like 78 degrees with a light breeze and a perfect day to sit outside. I have my Sennelier paints that I bought a couple of years ago for an online class that I took. So all the colors were preloaded in there. I don't even remember which class I bought it for, but I start out with some cerulean blue. And generally, when I do landscape sketches or sketchbook, urban sketching, I'll try to work from the back forward. I usually start out that way and then I hop around to wherever I feel like working on. So I don't follow a lot of rules when I do this, but I do try to lay the sky in first. And it is, if I stick to it, easier to work from back to front because then I don't feel like I'm messing with areas that I've worked on so much, if that makes sense. But for instance, as I'm painting this, I'll do the grass and then I don't do the little dairy farm that is on the hill, up the hill from my house until later, which I actually regret because had I filled in at this point, it would have been much easier. But it's kind of a Zen stream of consciousness when I'm painting in my sketchbook. So, there's not a huge rhyme or reason. What I do always try to do is almost any green that I pull out, unless it's like that very spring green on top, I will try to offset it, put in a little bit of red to kind of knock down that in your face green. But in the springtime, that spring green that comes right out of the pan, the color, that straight color, I think doesn't even really capture it. I should probably even add some yellow to it. But I do with the darker greens and the bluer greens, they can be so strong. When I started painting in oils, I mixed all my own. I did not buy tube green. I would mix my greens from black, blue, and yellow. And I learned to get a variety of beautiful colors. I think one of the things that I enjoy quite a bit about watercolor is buying tubes of green. And I know I could do that in oil painting. I think my teacher would be appalled. He was very much old school and never used tube green. But in watercolor, I do. But I also try to mix some of the greens because you end up with unique colors, that you crafted yourself that didn't come right out of a tube. So water is always a little bit of a challenge. It's kind of reflecting it is reflecting what is behind it, but it's also reflecting bits of the sky. So, it is difficult for me. And also, the water goes horizontally rather than vertically when you're looking at a pond. But then, you've got to remember to put in, I put in the shoreline and I was going to wait because I want to paint the trees and then do the reflections before I get that water in there. And now the big stones on this spring house. This is one of my favorite places on our farm. The spring house and the milk house are both so quaint and unique. And the farm dates back to 1755. Is what it says inside the barn and what the historical records when we bought it say. And so I'm not sure how old the spring house is. I know the milk house dates way back because this also used to be a dairy farm, like you can see up the hill. And the milk house was where they would sell milk out of the little window in the front, which all I can think is the person must have been really short because it's a short window. I'm tall. And so I would have needed a taller window to sell the milk out of. But I just love these little houses that dot a lot of the old properties that are around Bucks County. Most of them have spring houses, not always milk houses, but spring houses. And the style of barns is different. Again, it's something that I am going to pursue, is traveling around Bucks County and sketching different barns and different spring houses because they're all so unique and different. So I'm trying to do the right side, or the side with the door here, much darker because even though I haven't put the shadow in yet there on the spring house, it is in shadow this time of day. And so I really want to darken that up. And with my urban sketching that I do in my sketchbook, I don't really go back at it much, and in terms of coming through later like I do on greeting cards or just regular paintings that I'm doing to darken and finish the details. I kind of like the spontaneity of what I capture when I'm working at the time, and then not really spending a lot of time beating myself up over if I like it or don't like it, or changing much, because it's just meant for me, not to sell or do a digital download or any of those things. But so it's just about, really, it helps you to learn to capture things a little more quickly, which is helpful, because I think it does translate over into your everyday painting, and you're just learning. You're learning how to use the colors that you have, and what the colors do. And even if you're not actively sitting down and reading a book and committing to learning, you're learning through doing it, which is the best way to progress when you're painting. Actually, you can read all you want. I'm an armchair warrior on YouTube. I love watching videos of people painting and tutorials, but you can get to the point where you're watching too many videos and you're not going out and doing the legwork and getting the brush hours that you need to get. So I encourage you all to just stop the video and grab your sketchbook and go outside. No, I'm kidding. Stay and watch the rest of the video if you like it. And because I'm one of the few people I know who loves to watch videos from beginning to end. I did buy YouTube Prime so that I could fast forward and not have commercials. That's been invaluable to me. I'm not plugging for YouTube, but I have to say I asked my husband for that for my birthday last year, and he bought it for me because I thought, I'm not going to spend that money to not see ads. But with the amount of tutorials that I watch and things that I do, I love YouTube Prime, or whatever it is that he bought. I think that's what it's called, YouTube. It's Amazon Prime, but YouTube where you don't have commercials. And I love it. So anyways, now the trees are very dark, and I know that red looks a little weird, but it's really fascinating. And my mom and sister, who just moved here from California, said the same thing. There's so much this beautiful red that these trees start out as when they are setting out their buds in springtime, that sometimes if you squint in certain areas where it looks like fall. The leaves are green, they're not purple on these trees that have these beautiful red blossoms, or buds before they bloom, turn into leaves, but it's just dazzling to me. And so I like to catch the different almost seasons of spring. Starts out with the crocus and the daffodils, and then before the trees burst, there's this whole second wave of beautiful, different color. After the beautiful red, then the bright spring green is almost at the same time. There's a few popping up back there that are bright spring green, like the one behind this red tree. And of course, the cherry blossoms and the weeping cherries that we have so many of here are gorgeous. And then the snow, I call them snowflake blossoms, the white blossoms that are on the rest of the trees. But if not for my allergies, spring might be my favorite season. Fall is, but the spring is so beautiful. And now that I'm on a different allergy medicine, it's a close second to fall. And the beauty is just so quick and so pronounced. Now these are, I don't know if they hold grain up at the dairy farm. I should know that, but I don't. Like I said, that's a dairy farm up the hill. And I had to put that in there because it's peeking just barely through the blossoms, but I wanted to get in there first before I start layering the blossoms in here. Because it's so dense, as you could see from the video. It is really dense red out there on that tree, which again is just shocking to me in springtime. I expect the bright green, but I don't expect the red. So that's something I want to capture and fill in a little bit of these thingies in the background. There's all kinds of industrial equipment up there, and but it's just one of my favorite spots to sit and sketch. So I think I'm just going to play some music now and let it finish out. Thank you for watching, and